Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a Q&A. I asked my followers on Instagram to send questions, whether it's about my business or about how I run my business personally or just anything overall nail related. And I got sent a ton of questions, so we're going to be going through all of them. I am going to be playing this video of me doing my kawaii waistland set in the background. So if you have any questions about the set specifically, you can just leave it in the comments. But let's get started. So I'm starting off with questions that have to do with about me and my business specifically. So let's get right into it. My first question was, when did you start doing nails? I started doing nails for fun, like as a hobby, in August 2022, but I didn't really turn it into a business until around March 2023. And I never really planned to turn it into a business like this. I kind of just did it for fun and eventually just wanted to post like my nail art online. So I did that and somehow it became a business, but I don't regret it, obviously. Which brings me to my next question. Why did you start making press-ons? What is your favorite part of making press-ons? I initially started doing press-ons because I don't know about you guys or where you live, but for me, it's very expensive to get your nails done, and I have been getting my nails done like since I was a teenager. And I don't mind too much about paying it because if I'm getting what I pay for, then that's fine, like I'll pay it. But I never would really like get what I asked for. It would kind of not really look like what I wanted, and I would try to go to like all these new places and I just was never happy. So I kind of just hit a wall and I was like, I can do this. Like I'm already pretty okay at like art itself. So I just started doing it myself, and I never wanted to do my own nails. I always wanted to do press-ons because I wanted to be like artistic with it. So I pretty much taught myself like through YouTube videos and stuff like how to do press-ons and all that, and I kind of did it just as a hobby. Like I said, it was never really meant to be a business. I did want to just post my nail art, and that's kind of what led it to become a business, I guess. And my favorite part about making press-ons is just bringing the designs that I want to do to life. Like if I have a really random design that I want to do, I love that I could just like sit down and pretty much get it done if I want to. I also like to get inspo from like Pinterest or Instagram. Like I love recreating other people's designs and like even making my own version of it. I think that and like the overall art portion of it is really fun. The next question is, can you share the process of how you come up with a set and more packing videos? I actually do want to make a video where I just sit down and show you guys the process of making myself a set. I just genuinely have not had the time, but it is coming. I do want that to be a YouTube video for the future because I did get asked this question a lot, like how do I come up with a set? But I don't really have like a direct answer. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, like I want this on nails. Like if I go to a store and I see like a little Rockstar Hello Kitty or something, like I'll be like, oh, that's so cute, like I want to make that into a set. And that's kind of how the ideas start. Sometimes clients even come to me and tell me like what they want, and they're very unique ideas. I even go on Pinterest sometimes and like look for inspo. It's a mix of a bunch of different things. But yeah, like I said, that was a pretty common question that I didn't even think people were that interested in. So I will definitely try to make like future videos where I break down how I make a set. The next few questions are a lot about the business itself or my business. So I'll just group them together. But the next questions are, do you do press-ons full-time? Is this your only income? And have you ever thought about going back to corporate? So for anyone who's new here or doesn't know, I do have a video on this channel about how I went from corporate to doing nails full-time if you want to check that out. But I can just give you the gist of it. I have not thought about going back to corporate, honestly. I don't like the idea of a 9-to-5. I do have a degree, so if I ever feel like I do want to go back to that, I'm not too scared. My degree's not going anywhere. But as of right now, no, that is not a thought in my mind at all. Do you do press-ons full-time? Yes, I do. And is this my only income? Yes, kind of. Like, yes, the press-on nails are my full income. But I also do make money from content, nothing crazy. I definitely want to grow that this year and the next year. And then I do make some money from I do collect things, so sometimes I'll like buy and sell, but it's definitely not a significant amount of income. The nails are definitely my main source of income. And that leads me to my next question. Did you ever doubt that you'd be able to grow your business to what it is today? Also, yes and no. Like, I didn't really think this was going to be a business. If anything, my initial idea was kind of to like post my nail art and post content. I really wanted to be like content focused, and I somehow like got straight away and just focused more on doing like nail orders. But this year in 2025, I have focused way more on content, which I'm way happier doing, and like less burnt out overall. And even though my business has grown, like I am so thankful that this is something that can be a full-time job that I have worked towards. I'm still not anywhere near where I want to be. I definitely want to make even more content on YouTube specifically, because I just started that this year, even though I've been doing nails since 2023, as well as focusing on more like nail vlogs and just overall like TikTok and Instagram Reels content, things like that. Like I want to put more focus towards that and grow my business that way, or grow like the content creation that way. The next question is, do you wear your own nails? I love your work, by the way. Thank you so much. And yes, I do wear my own nails, but sometimes I get so busy that I forget to do my nails. But yes, I love doing my own nails. I love designing like the randomest thing and just putting it on my nails. It's just like, it kind of used to be like once a month, and now I've gotten so busy that I don't think I've done my nails since March, and it's July now. But I definitely do want to get back to doing my own nails. The next question is, how long does a full design set take you to do? This really depends on the design itself. Like if it's something simpler like Frenchies, I don't even do them. Like I rarely ever take Frenchies orders, but that will probably take me like a little bit over an hour. But overall simple designs, maybe like up to 2 hours. And then obviously like crazy nail art can take like 4 hours. It really depends. And the last question I have for my about me is, what keeps you motivated? I think I'm overall like a very goal-driven person, and obviously one of my main goals in life right now is to grow my business. So I kind of just use that as my motivation. But it is kind of hard to stay motivated when you don't see growth initially. Like I constantly had to remind myself, like it takes months to get that one viral video, and it takes even longer to see like consistent viral videos. I overall like pour a lot of my energy into this business, and I work towards it. Like I don't lack motivation easily overall, like as a person, not even in this business but outside of it. I think the harder part for me is consistency. So once I start seeing growth, like I don't keep the momentum going. I kind of just like let it sit there, and then I'll pick it up again in a week or two, which I would say is a little bit more my issue than staying motivated. But in both aspects, I just try to remind myself, like, it's not going to get done on its own. Nobody's going to do it except for me. Like, if I want all these goals, like, I have to put in the work. That's kind of what keeps me motivated overall. And just remind myself, like, if one video or the next 3-5 videos don't pop off, like, that's okay. I just have to take that, like, learn what I did wrong, or, like, what I could have done better, and just kind of, like, work around that, if that makes sense. Now I'm moving on to a little bit more the business aspect of things, like about my website and my packaging and all those more like specific things. The first question is, love your work. How do you get your clients to pay upfront for press-on nails? First of all, thank you so much. And I don't really do anything in specific to get people to pay upfront. I haven't really had that problem where someone wants to have the set done before they pay. But I will say that I feel like something that can scare people away into paying upfront is if you only take payments through things like Zelle or Cash App or Venmo. Because honestly, like if it was the other way around and I wanted to order something from someone online, like if I saw that they only take these third-party payments, I would personally not order from them. It does feel a little bit scammy. But if clients can see that their payments are secure transactions, and if for whatever reason like you don't come through with your order, they can cancel or dispute their charge if they have to. And even besides that, like, there is like a paper trail, there's a receipt. Like, I think that does build a little bit more sense of security when ordering. So yeah, I do make sure all my payments are done through my website. And speaking of my website, the next question is, beginner nail tech here, how and where did you make your beautiful website? Any tips? I made my website on Shopify. I did use Etsy when I first started out, but I hated it, so I switched to Shopify and it's much better. As for any tips, I guess I would say, like, don't rush into it. Don't rush into having your website out already. Definitely take your time in building it and designing it. But Shopify itself pretty much does everything for you, and if you're confused on how to do certain things, they have like a bunch of forums that help you, which is what I use. And I pretty much spent like an entire week trying to create my website. And obviously, even now as I go, like, I'll change things around if I want to change the design of things. The next question is, where and how did you make and get the cards that you use to attach the press-ons to? I actually get this question a lot. I make them myself on Canva and I have them printed out and shipped to me. I do sell a digital template, which isn't exactly like the cards that I use. Like, it's not the same exact design, but it's the same method. I do have that on my website. I'll link it down below. But it comes with the packaging kit and the sizing kit and a video on how to have everything done and how to edit the design itself and have it shipped to your house. Like, a bunch of copies of the packaging and sizing kits. Next question is, how did you legalize your business? What steps? I think this question varies state to state. And I'm from Florida, so I guess I could walk you through the steps I took here in my state, but I'm definitely not a professional, and I also have a family friend who is a CPA, so she walked me through the process for most of it. And I did do this very early on in my business, so it has been like 2 years since. But from what I remember, you have to pick a name for your business, for your LLC, and there's a few forms that you have to submit to the IRS, and you also have to create an EIN. But again, I'm not a professional at all whatsoever, and I did have a good amount of help sorting this out, so I highly suggest you go to a professional, because this is definitely not something that you want to mess up on. And I honestly got it done pretty early on when I knew that this was gonna be like a long-term business I wanted to work on. But that is it for the business side of questions, and now we're moving on to the fun part, which is probably what I get asked the most about, which is marketing and content creating. So let's just go ahead and get started. My first question is, what is the best way to increase engagement and sales? And I actually got some other very similar questions, like any tips on growing your business and finding inspiration, PS I love your work, as well as how did you grow your following? I've been posting consistently but no follows. This has to be one of my most commonly asked questions. How do I finally start getting sales? And it's a mix of a lot of things, and I believe that it's not one size fits all. Just because something works for one creator does not automatically mean that it's going to work for everyone. But my method has always been social media. I love posting content. I like making and creating content almost as much as I love making the actual nails. So I've always been posting, even if it's not consistent. My social media has always been active, and I like to think that my work speaks for itself, that I post like nice pictures of my work and show the quality, show the process of me making it, show what a day in my life looks like. And I feel like when you show something off that you're passionate about, it will show through the screen. And that's what really drives people to follow or interact or even order from me, even if it's people that want press-on nails, they want to get started into getting press-on nails, or even people who are aspiring artists or press-on nail girls that want to start their own business too. Showing off my work and my personality has always been my go-to for sales and also like making those connections. So almost 100% of my marketing comes from social media. And to answer the other questions, how do I convert these posts into sales? You really just have to stay consistent, and on top of that, make sure that your content is something people are watching. Make sure that your nails are taken in clear pictures, and make sure your content is watchable. If you feel like you deserve more views or you're not getting enough, study your content and see what could have gone wrong. Read the analytics that Instagram and TikTok provide. And of course, not every single post is gonna pop off. It's very normal for some posts to flop while some do really well. And like I said, remember that seeing consistent growth takes time. Don't beat yourself up if you feel like you've been posting and nobody's watching. It's very rare for somebody's account to just go off like their first month of posting. It took me like 6 months of posting to the void, posting to nobody to really get my first post that did numbers. And even then, it was very short-lived. It was a few orders for a few weeks and it completely died out again. And it wasn't really until my second year where I started seeing consistent sales and orders. But I feel like as long as you don't give up and you keep trying and you stay consistent and you learn from what you've been posting and work towards kind of like making it better, your account and your platforms are almost guaranteed to grow. Granted, social media is not the only way to get sales. Some people only rely on Etsy, and Etsy pretty much does the marketing for you. You don't really have to promote yourself. And I know some people are even vendors at local markets in their area, and they'll sell press-ons that way as well. I've been thinking of making like a digital ebook or something along those lines that really breaks down like marketing in general and how to use social media in your favor, but it's kind of just a thought right now. But if that's something you guys would be interested, then let me know and I'll definitely make it like something on my to-do list. The next question I got that also ties into content as well is tips for taking mirror nail pics. I bought so many mirrors plus cleaners, still dirty pics. I can't even tell you where I got my mirror. Well, it was on Shein, but I don't have like the exact link or anything because it was so long ago. I've been using the mirror to take pictures since I first started, and I don't really do anything special. I just lay the nails out on the mirror and I don't use lighting or anything. I use like the natural sunlight. But I would say like use whatever method you feel like is comfortable for you. Like I do see a lot of people use the actual packaging of the nails to take their pictures, as well as like just laying the nails out on like a white background. But I don't have any like secret or anything on how to take the mirror pictures. I just lay them on the mirror and literally take the picture. Like I don't use any fancy lighting or anything like that. Now I'm moving on to customer experiences. This one is a little bit more juicy, I guess. And I got 4 of the same question, which is basically what is my worst customer experience or crazy customer experiences I've had. And I have had a few, but not many. I do want to dive into something else that's kind of in the same topic, which is other nail techs and just people online that are way worse experiences than any customers I've ever had. But I can start off with the customer experiences from the top of my head. I do remember this was very early on, like 6 months into me starting nails as a business. I did have one girl who she was a regular and she would order from me every 2 weeks, and mind you, it was very early on, so she was like a loyal customer and I had like a few hundred followers. And at this point I didn't have a website. I just had like orders I would take in through DM, and I would charge people through PayPal or Cash App and things like that. And like I said, this was a learning experience, so this is one of the many reasons I don't do that anymore. But yeah, it was like her 3rd or 4th set at this point, and I started building like that trust with her. And she basically asked for a freestyle, but she asked to send the money like after the set was done. And I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, yes, that's fine. Like, don't even worry about it. And I did the set and I showed her and I mailed it. And she did send the money. Like, she sent me the money through PayPal before I shipped it off. But once she got it, she somehow made the payment go from pending to declined. I guess she didn't have the money. I don't know. But point is that it went from pending to declined, and I had already shipped it off. And I was trying to DM her. Like, I thought it was a misunderstanding at first. And I think she did answer, like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, the card declined, whatever. And it got to a point where she just didn't answer. And she posted the nails and everything. And she just stopped answering me. I think she blocked me. and I tried to take it up with PayPal, but they basically said no, like the customer is in the right pretty much. They're always going to take the customer side though. And I really couldn't do anything except take my L. And at the end of the day, it kind of is on me. Like, I shouldn't have made the set until I had the payment. But I mean, it is what it is. I was like learning. It was one of my first few customers. So I was kind of naive and I just trusted her immediately. But that's probably the worst customer experience I've had, because I basically got scammed and lost money. But it was very much a needed learning experience. Like, I didn't make the same mistake twice. I was also making mistakes often early on. Like, I would ship packages to the wrong location sometimes by accident, obviously, and sometimes people would get upset, which obviously they have every right. But all of this kind of led me to like work around the way that I was working, and now it's very rare for me to make a mistake or anything like that. On top of that, I did also used to sell on Etsy, and the customers there are not my favorite. They kind of always have an issue with like the set, or I don't know. It wasn't everyone, obviously, but I would get DMs often about sets, and I would get people that were super nice through DM, like telling me they loved the set, like I'm so talented, this and that. And then when it's time to leave a review, they'd give me like 2 or 3 stars and then kind of say all the things that they didn't tell me through DM, which I really didn't like. And ultimately it drove me to stop selling on Etsy, and I don't regret it at all. I rather have less orders and people who I can trust and are actually fans of my work versus people who, like, I can make a quick sale because it's cheaper or faster, more efficient, but still have that like person who is just like not really being honest in their reviews and things like that. But yeah, I hope I'm making sense while I talk about all of this. But my customer experiences are very minimal compared to things have seen like on social media. I had other nail techs and nail artists DM me. I did have this one time a client send me a picture of an inspo that they wanted, and the original artist wasn't tagged. So what I usually do is reverse image search on Pinterest, but if I can't find it, then I'll just put in my caption that the client sent the inspo, or the inspo's from Pinterest or something along those lines, just to show that I couldn't find it. Well, this nail set ended up going viral. I posted it and it got like 20,000 likes. And obviously I didn't think much of it, like it was just a post. And one day I get a DM, and it was like at 8 a.m, and I'm reading it, and it's a girl saying like, hey girl, this design is my work, like I'd really appreciate it if you could tag me, which is no problem at all whatsoever. Like, I get a good amount of people doing that, and I'll always do it because like rightfully so. And I'll even DM people sometimes and be like, hey, this is my art, like could you just tag me? So I had just woken up when I saw this DM, so I was like, okay, no big deal, like I'll add her. And then I'm reading the message and it says, you're weird as fuck, like at the bottom. And I was like, did I just read that right? Like I was like, when I tell you I was so like half asleep, I was like, hold on a minute. And then I messaged her nicely and I was like, hey, like, yeah, of course I can add you or tag you, but why am I weird? I literally had to pause what I was doing to find the messages. But I'm not gonna tag the creator because obviously there's no need. But I didn't remember the entire interaction, so I was like looking for it. But basically she said that she saw it as like a big creator was stealing her work, and that she's a smaller creator and it just felt like I was stealing her work. And I explained myself and I told her like I couldn't find it, and when someone is a smaller creator, it's less likely for their picture to be on Pinterest. So now it kind of made sense why I couldn't find it on Pinterest. But that just brings me back to my point, like this could have been handled so differently with the whole like if we hadn't added the whole you're weird as fuck part. And the most ironic part about all of this is that I go on her page to like see the original picture, and yes, it was her picture that my client had sent to me, but I'm looking at her actual post and she got the nail design from another artist. So it wasn't her design, it was just her picture, but the entire design was copied from another artist. But I didn't even bother bringing that up. I just kind of left it at what it was. Like, I didn't want to go back and forth, I had no desire to. But the whole reason I bring up this entire topic is because this isn't a one-time thing. Like, I do see a lot of press-on artists or nail artists like kind of coming for each other, or like posting shady stuff. I even see some artists post like stories saying that they're mad at their clients and their customers for not supporting them, like you're fake if you don't support them. And I really don't like that energy. Like every time I see that, I unfollow people. But if there's anything I've learned about running my own business or being like a content creator or anything like that, is people are going to see like your mean girl energy and your bitterness through the screen, and it's gonna scare people away. And if it was the other way around, like if I was a possible customer or client to someone and I see them posting shady stuff, like you lost me. I'm not gonna follow you and I'm not gonna engage with you anymore. And I feel like a lot of people are like that as well. Like if they see someone they looked up to start being mean, they're not going to support you anymore. Another experience I have on social media is anytime a post of mine goes viral or gets a lot of views and it's a post where I'm sharing my prices, people get so mad about my prices. And I get a lot of hate comments and a lot of like targeted comments about just my prices and that I'm unfair and just like spewing a bunch of hate and negative things. And I honestly don't really let it get to me, but it is very ugly. And ironically enough, every time I click these profiles, it's other press-on artists or it's other nail techs saying how I'm a scammer and I shouldn't be charging. And some people even take that opportunity and they'll comment and say like, oh, like she's charging 60 while I will charge you guys 30 for the same design. It's very rarely ever someone who's a potential client or someone who doesn't do nails. It's almost all the time like other nail girls, which is very telling. Like that just tells me that you are commenting out of envy and jealousy and things like that, which is a big reason why I don't let it get to me. But like I said already, just to kind of repeat myself, if you are an aspiring nail tech or press-on artist, it's so important to be like a overall good and respectful person and just support like other people who are also doing the same thing you're doing or trying to do. And people will pick up on your vibe or your energy through the screen. And the last thing you want to do when you're trying to promote a business or your nails is show like any bitter, envious energy towards other people. And definitely not seeing other people doing the same thing you want to do as competition or anything like that. I promise you, being a good person online is just as important as posting your nails and creating content. All of these things go hand in hand and one can't be successful without the other. But anyways, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I did get asked a few questions about my experiences outside of just nails. So I hope that was overall helpful for you guys. But now I'm moving on to the last topic I have, which is nail art tips and products. My first question is, what is best to do? Aura design, airbrush, gradient, painting gel, or nail pigment powder? I'm gonna start off by saying I do not like the pigment powders. Personally, they don't work for me. I know they work for a lot of other people, but it rarely ever gets the job done for me. The little patting gels that are going viral right now, I would put at second place. They do work sometimes, but it depends on what kind of aura I'm trying to do. They do work very well for ombre though, so if I'm doing a 3D flower, for example, I will use the patting gels for ombre. They work perfectly for that. But actual aura designs are something I think you can do it with the patting gels. I just haven't really mastered it that well. And I do think they're a very cheap alternative compared to the pressed powders that people use. I know those are pretty expensive, so I think the patting gels are a better option, but again, that's just my personal opinion. And my first option is the airbrush. I love using the airbrush. I don't think I'll ever use anything else. I do get asked pretty often where I got my airbrush. I got it from iGel Beauty, and it is a little bit on the pricier side, but I've had it for 2 years and it has not broken on me or anything. So I will say I feel like I got what I paid for. As for the actual gel colors, I did used to mix like the gel and the acetone, but I know it's not good for your health and I did start getting a little bit scared about that. So I did switch to buying like the pre-made mixes of gel colors, and I love them. I feel like they get the job done, and it is like a little bit pricey, I guess. I don't even think it's that bad for what you're getting though, and it gets the job done. Like you get what you pay for. I got mine on TikTok Shop, but I can link the Amazon one and the TikTok shop link in the description. And I also got asked issues with airbrush machine. Mine constantly sprays paint without me pulling the trigger. I feel like the airbrush machine you use might have a lot to do with it. I don't really use the Amazon ones. I did used to use those, but they would break on me, so I did get a more expensive one. Like I said, I will link it in the description. The next question is, how do you avoid chrome/3D chrome art from chipping? I used to not have this issue, but I did notice one time I did my own nails and it was chipping. So what I do now is, before I top coat the chrome design, I'll add a layer of base coat and then I'll top coat, and so far it has been working, so hopefully that answers your question, or try it out and see if it works, but it definitely does work for me. Next question is, favorite materials to use or your nail needs lineup. From the top of my head, I can list out the gel polish brands that are my go-tos. I feel like once I find something that works, I don't really stray away from that. I kind of just stick to what I know works. So the brands that I use consistently are didnt, Madam Glam, iGel Beauty, and then some from Amazon like Melody Susie, and this other brand that I don't even know how to pronounce, but I'll put the name on the screen. But those are pretty much the only brands I use. Like 90% of my collection is that. Outside of gel polishes, I also love this 3D gel brand from Amazon. I'll put a picture in the screen and I'll tag it in the description. But this is my go-to product for 3D designs, like those 3D lines that you see, and it's no wipe, so I don't have to put top coat on it or anything. My favorite Rhinestone Glue is also from Amazon. I'll link it as well, but this is the best brand I've found for charms. It does not pop off. The only problem I do have with it is that the tube where the product comes out is so big that it makes a huge mess, and I hate it, but the product is too good to give it up. And it wasn't always like that. Their bottle used to have a very narrow tip, and for some reason they changed it, and it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I also love this 3D sculpting gel from Amazon. Again, I'll link it in the description, but it's the only one I found that doesn't leave like a super sticky residue or a mess. I also love nitro gloves. I hope I pronounced that right. But if you find your gloves melting onto your hands while you're doing nails, you need to switch to nitro gloves. Completely avoids this issue. They do not melt, and the actual sculpting gel does not stick to the glove when you use nitro gloves. And lastly, another product I can think of from the top of my head is this double-sided like sticker tape that I found pretty recently that is for the press-on nail stands. I used to use double-sided adhesive tape and just like cut them in little pieces and stick them to the stand, but these little stickers are so much better and they're much more sturdy. Like, you can get multiple uses out of them. But that's pretty much it for my go-to supplies that I wouldn't really stray away from. Outside of supplies, I do also love Shein and Aliexpress. Well, mostly Aliexpress at this point. I don't use Shein that much. But I love Aliexpress for charms. I don't buy actual products. I actually advise against it. But when it comes to things like charms or palettes or things that are worth like a few bucks, definitely go on Aliexpress. I would suggest to not buy it on Amazon or from like nail supply stores because it's way more expensive on there and it's the same thing. But we are finally at the last question, which is, what products have you bought that you realize you didn't need? What is necessary to you? Well, I already covered what's necessary, so I guess I'll just jump into what's something that I don't really need. So when I first started my business, I was definitely buying things that I didn't need, and they're still like sitting at my drawer, but I've gotten to a point where I'm a lot more mindful of buying something like that I know I'm gonna use. I don't really spend my money lightly. But in the past, things I do regret buying, number one is an excessive amount of charms, and charms that just don't fit the overall aesthetic and vibe that I was going for. And they're still kind of sitting there taking up space. I don't use them at all, and I honestly don't know why I still hold on to them. And also lots of stickers that I don't use, as well as glitter. I don't use glitter at all. I don't know why I bought that, but it's still there as well. I've also wasted money on powders, whether they're pressed or loose powders. They don't work for me, and I have a bunch in my drawer. I also bought airbrush colors, but they were like actual acrylic paint instead of intended for the airbrush, and that was a waste of money too. I don't use them at all. Also, buying an excessive amount of gel polishes, especially when I know I already have the color, like I'll buy the color again from a different brand and it's just a waste of money. As well as like those kits from like Beetles that they're like very tiny gel polishes, and it's like hundreds of them, or like maybe not hundreds but tens of them. I usually end up only using like a handful of those, and then the rest kind of just sit there, and they definitely take up space. And speaking of gel polishes, another thing that I spend a lot of money on and I end up receiving it and just kind of wasting my money is base colors and like nude gel polishes that are just too sheer. Like, it's kind of hard to find a gel polish that is not extremely sheer. I have a bunch of them that I do not even touch just because they're super transparent, but I've learned over time to just stick to the few that I do know are good and to not give in to buying into random ones that I don't know what they look like in person. But from the top of my head, that's all I can really think of for things that I don't need or wouldn't spend my money on again. And that was it for all my questions. Thank you guys so much for asking and even showing interest in what I have to say. It means so much to me, and I do hope this video helped you guys. And if you guys want another Q&A with completely different questions, then feel free to let me know. And if you have any questions that weren't answered in this video as well, you can leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. But thank you guys so much for watching.